The year is 2035. Everyone is the same height. They have no hair. Their skin is a pale olive-ish type color. Everyone looks identical. I'm not going to get too much more extreme in my stupid joke about the future, but the story here is about gene-edited babies. And when you combine the technology of gene editing along with the insane intersectionality that is rising, I imagine in the future everyone will be 5 feet tall. There will be no secondary sexual characteristics. Everyone will look the exact same. They'll wear jumpsuits. Everyone will be offended by everything. They'll be scared of their own shadows. But at least they won't have genetic diseases, or they might actually die from it. So there's been a big push and some breakthroughs in gene editing. And one of the biggest stories was that a Chinese researcher shocked the world by announcing the birth of 2 gene-edited babies. However, the mutations may have hurt, not helped. Apparently, there are a lot of people who want to genetically engineer their children before they're born to remove bad genes that result in genetic diseases. Personally, I think it's a really, really bad idea, but I'm not gonna denounce the technology as a whole. I mean, the problem with it is the first few iterations will negatively impact the lives of human beings who will be genetically engineered. Thus, we're seeing this. These 2 babies might actually die early. Before we get started on the story, go to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There's a monthly donation option, a crypto option, a physical address, but of course, liking and commenting on the video, sharing the video, and subscribing are some of the most powerful things you can do because the engagement really, really helps. At a time like today, when people are getting censored, yeah, I could definitely use support. But let's read on and figure out why this gene editing is a bad idea. Chinese researcher Jiankui He shocked the global medical community in November 2018 when he announced the birth of 2 babies whose DNA he had edited. The first ever humans born with heritable changes to their genomes made using a technique called CRISPR-Cas9. He says he made the changes to lower the baby's risk of contracting HIV. But the news instantly sparked ethical and medical controversy about his work and about the use of gene editing in humans. Now a study finds that the edits may have actually hurt the baby's lifespans. As they report today in the journal Nature Medicine, researchers analyzed, well, it's actually from June 3rd, so it's from a few days ago. As they report in the journal Nature Medicine, researchers analyzed a UK genetic database and found that when people naturally have a trait similar to the one that he engineered into the baby's DNA, they have about a 21% greater risk of dying before the age of 76 than people who don't have this trait. So I will point this out. What's the likelihood these babies actually contracted HIV? It's probably slim to none. It's not a very high percentage of people who have this disease. Was it worth shortening their lifespan? I'd argue it isn't. Just, we have cultural issues that can help stop the spread of diseases, for instance. There's this really cool picture here showing how DNA hacking works, and it looks like they have a virus injecting new DNA into bacteria of some sort. There might be a perception that when you have one mutation, you have one effect, but in fact, one mutation might have many different effects. Yes, all these different genes are connected to each other in various ways. There's a cascade problem that could occur. When we think about genetic engineering in humans, one of the many things we should consider is that the consequences can be hard to predict. That a mutation that's beneficial in one context is very detrimental in other contexts, he says. Heightened risk. In his public 2018 announcement, he said that his goal was to confer resistance to HIV, we know what HIV is. He did this by editing mutations into the CCR5 gene, which encodes a receptor on the outside of immune cells, making it an important player in how the immune system behaves. One of the most widely studied variants of this gene is the triangle 32 variant. Triangle, I guess. I don't know what it's called. I bet a bunch of people are not going to point out they know what that symbol is, but it's a triangle to me, which is shorter than normal and is essentially broken. This breakage provides protection from HIV since the virus infects immune cells by latching onto the protein that the functional CCR5 gene encodes. But treatments for HIV have come a long way. Many experts argue at the time that this procedure was medically unnecessary. What's more, other pathogens thrive when CCR5 is broken, creating other risk factors. For instance, one 2015 study showed that having 1 or 2 copies of CCR5 triangle 32 nearly quadrupled a person's odds of dying from influenza. While the mutations he created aren't perfectly identical, it seems that the baby's CCR5 genes are broken in a similar way. To find out more about what that might mean for them, Nielsen and Berkeley postdoctoral researcher Jinju Wei combed through nearly 410,000 genomes in the UK Biobank, a volunteer DNA archive looking for for the fates of people who naturally have 2 copies of CCR5, triangle 32. Seriously, I know there's a word for it, but forgive me for calling it triangle. To account for sampling biases, Wei and Nielsen compared 1,000 randomly generated subsets of the data against each other. When they did, they found that overall, having 2 copies of CCR532 increased a person's risk of dying before the age of 76 by 3 to 46%, with an average risk of 21. Wei and Nielsen cautioned that their work shouldn't be overinterpreted, in part because today's DNA databases are geographically biased. The pair's research is based on the genomes of UK, not Chinese volunteers. Similar biases plague the research that he used, and it's not he is the pronoun, he is his literal name, to try and justify editing the baby's DNA in the first place. Prior studies found signs of CCR32's protective effects against HIV in European, not East Asian populations. I would like to make the message clear that the effect of the mutation depends on the genetic background and the environments, and that we don't have information to speculate about its effects in East Asians. Let me just take a break right now to ask you guys. There's a lot of technical stuff here, and the potential risks may or may not outweigh whether or not it's worth gene editing. But the bigger question I wanted to bring up with this video is the morality of gene editing. How would you feel if you were gene edited to be immune to certain diseases, or to be stronger or faster or taller? There are probably a lot of dudes who are short who wish they were taller. What if your parents could have gene edited you to make sure you'd be 6 feet tall? Would that be a good thing? What if you're a woman and you want to be tall and curvy with big bosoms? Would you prefer if your family edited your genes so that today your body is better than where it is? What if you have crooked teeth? I have crooked teeth. What if you're bald? What if you have bad vision? What if they could make you Superman? Figuratively, not like actual Superman, but like buff, tall, perfect vision. Is it right to do? Is it worth it? One of the things I think that's wrong with it, why I wanted to read about the story, is that it will result, we have to get the science down perfectly, and we don't know the long-term effects. Imagine if today you were gene edited, but you actually ended up getting sick early. I guess the question is, maybe it is a good thing, maybe it is better, because some people will just naturally have bad genes and result in a genetic deficiency or disease could result in their early death. If we try to improve upon that, it's still better than someone dying early accidentally. So I wonder. So I guess comment, let me know. We'll read some more about the ethics of the issue. They go on to say, the new findings are bound to refocus attention on the ethical quandaries raised by his research. Before and since the announcement, researchers around the world have been calling for a moratorium on heritable edits to the human genome. In an essay published in Nature in May, a group of prominent Chinese bioethicists denounced he and called for a total revamp of China's governance of research ethics. In January, he was fired from the Southern University of Science and Technology in Shenzhen, China. Oh, that kind of sucks. I don't think he should be fired. Researchers, well, I don't know why he was fired. Researchers are careful to point out that debate over his work shouldn't discount CRISPR's transformative medical potential, since the gene editing technique doesn't make heritable changes in many therapeutic applications. For example, to treat a genetic disease, scientists can harvest cells from a person's organ, repair those cells' genes with CRISPR, and reintroduce the modified cells to that organ to repopulate it. Similarly, researchers could use CCR5 triangle 32 to help treat HIV by modifying the immune cells of someone who already has the disease. They say, they go on. When he edited the baby girl's genomes, however, he did so when they were just fertilized eggs, which meant that his edits are present in nearly every cell in their bodies, including their eggs. If these babies, nicknamed Lulu and Nana, decide to have children later in life, with their unaltered eggs, their offspring are guaranteed to have at least one broken copy of CCR5. So that's really interesting. They go on to say the difference is as big as modifying the entire operating system of a computer, as opposed to modifying one single piece of software installed for a particular task. CRISPR also isn't 100% accurate, so it's possible that other genes of the babies have been altered with unclear and unintended consequences. So that's my big issue, is what if these kids grow up and become really crazy, freakish mutants? What if they end up having brittle skin or broken bones or something? What if their arms end up becoming twice as long? Who knows? I don't know. But I will say, back in the 50s, a lot of comic books were fascinated by radiation. So there was this idea that you can get superpowers from radiation. I think now we'll see a wave of people who are genetically engineered. And I mean, and look at the later iterations of Spider-Man. They're now saying it's not the Sam Raimi one said it was a genetically modified spider that gave him his power and not radiation. I'm going off on a tangent with the comic book stuff, but I'll leave it there. Moral implications, it's the bigger question. Let me know what you think. Stick around. More videos to come starting tomorrow, 10 a.m. on this channel. For those on the podcast, around 6:30 or 7 is when it go lives, and I will see you all next time.